Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Singapore group stage here for Worlds. The two teams are busy loading into the next match, and it will be Europe's #1 seed Alliance versus the Brazilian team Kabum from the international wildcard. Alliance, earlier today, they had a strong early, pretty strong mid-game against Najee White Shield, and then it sort of fell to pieces as they didn't really misplay their turret-pushing comp in that regard. Spirits have to be shaken. This is a game they're looking to definitely pick up as a win.
So Froggen has been great individually. I think as an individual team of individual players, these guys are generally incredibly strong. His Xerath wasn't amazing. His Twisted Fate, though, was absolutely phenomenal. And Alliance keeps setting themselves up to win games. They every single time against Cloud9, last time around as well, they are set up to win the games. But they don't seem to actually be able to pull the trigger properly. So we had this debate about what Tabs' AD carry build should have been, and sure, a Bloodthirster first can work if you're willing to go push those turrets down, which they weren't. Similarly, when their very first game against Cloud9, they had Kayle on Wicked, and if they just let him split push and ward for him, that could have won the game as well. But these guys don't seem to adapt to the game as it actually is, and they're just in this weird mix of playing the game properly and doing like the right things.
I think Alliance will shake it off very easily from the last game because they had a really solid plan going into it. They kind of derived, and eventually that's why they lost, you know, with the builds, with the actual split pushing and all this kind of stuff. But they're going into it with their picks and bans. It was perfect, suited them beautifully, just weren't able to execute. It's something that they can look at and say, oh, it was this simple. So I think they'll bounce back and do very well against Kabum here.
Let's quickly talk about Kabum. I think mechanically they've shown up. I think that's fair to say. Dan's in particular has really impressed me as a support player and shot caller for the squad, ex-AD carry as well. Double lift. What do you think about the team and the player and how they're handling themselves?
Yeah, Dan's actually had a pretty spectacular showing on Thresh. I mean, he's not by any means a bad support. And just one thing I want to point out is Thresh only has 2 losses so far in the Singapore stage. So I feel like one thing you have to note is any support that goes to Worlds must have great innate playmaking ability, and Thresh just kind of brings that out. That's why you see such great Thresh plays all the time.
Well, we'll have to see if this team can pull it out. Alliance, if their spirits are broken, then it will be up to Kabum to punish them for that. Guys, without further ado, let's throw it over to the casters to get the match started.
Thanks, Quick Shot. We're all set up here at Singapore Expo for our next Rumble on the Rift. Let's see what these teams are bringing. We'll look at the starting lineups. On the blue side, it will be Alliance. That means it's Wicked in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Froggen in mid lane, Tabs at AD carry, and at support is Nif.
And of course, that means over on the red side, it is Brazil's Kabum Esports. That means in the top lane, it is Lep. In the jungle is Danagon. Tin owns in the mid lane. Minerva as the AD carry. And Dan's as on support once again.
And I have to say, I agree with the analyst desk here. Dan's has looked so good on Thresh. Like, he's the big playmaker here. They need to secure it for him. I would like to see Lucian again from Minerva down this bottom lane, so you have some big play potential. And try and snowball the lane. I mean, Danagon, as a jungler, has put a lot of focus on Lep, at least in the first game of the day we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Switch then down to the bottom lane, get Minerva going, try and snowball the game.
Speaking about that Thresh, I'm glad there are actually so many supports that are good at Thresh here at Worlds. We've seen so many amazing hooks just completely change games around. Definitely going to be a competitive pick here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Dan's played well. Thresh, of course, for Gorilla, the absolute crazy playmaker on that one. We just saw Yellowstone not quite working out for him in that last game. But overall, you know, Double Lift just called it there. The fact that he's only had 2 losses, that Thresh, one of them being in the last game, is pretty crazy. So we'll see if that becomes a big pick. Taipei was all about Janna. There was a tropical storm that came through incidentally. Let's just hope something bad doesn't happen with Thresh, who knows?
And we were shielded from that, so we're all right. We're here in Singapore, the second group stage underway, and showing us some zany things, to say the least.
So Alliance have been looking at their Kabum versus Cloud9 game here. And Syndra first ban against Tin owns. He actually looked pretty solid in the laning phase, and Kabum as a team, in terms of mechanics and in terms of laning phase, I know you talked about it, Riff, as well, they actually look pretty solid. I mean, they are good laners here. They have the ability to surprise Alliance, and Kabum is a team going into these games with no pressure at all, because they're just here to show how good they are. They're here to represent Brazil and learn as much as possible and try and surprise a team like Alliance, maybe like Cloud9.
And speaking with those working closely with Kabum, you know, they said their first game they expected it to be a bit one-sided. Cloud9, they were a little bit upset that that went the way it did. Now against Alliance, they have seen Alliance falter, and I'm sure they want to go right for the neck if they see that weakness.
Yeah, both of these teams are 0-2 in the group, so a win here is vital for absolutely everyone. Alliance themselves coming into this as one of the favorites in the group. They have not performed or turned up, and the question is, can they be put on tilt? I mean, there's a couple of pressures. There was always question marks over Shook and Tabs when it came into big questionable situations, and right now we see Shook getting Lee Sin. That's a big champion for him here. We'll see if he can deliver.
And actually a champion we have seen Kabum in the past ban a lot because they don't want to play against this early pressure you can do or you can make on Lee Sin. Shook being able to get it. It's going to be important for him and his confidence, but when you talk with Alliance, they always say we don't tilt. Especially Shook as a jungler. They say, you know what? He plays like he does at scrims. He's learned it. He doesn't get affected by any bad plays, so he's Flash Cocoon versus Cloud9. Probably not in his mind anymore, and I love the fact we get Thresh and Rumble, who's been winning so many games and who is so damn strong in this mid-game here. Kabum already looking to win the mid-game fights and take the game.
That mid-game fight indeed, and I love the fact that they always hover. They hover for fun, they hover for the crowd, they know just to release a little stress here in Champion Select, because a lot of things can get just tight here. You kind of get a little stressed out. It's good to keep a clear mind. We'll see that Rumble and Thresh absolutely being locked in. So now, the 3-4 pick, the answer here, or I should say 4-5 pick, coming in from Alliance.
We shouldn't forget, of course, that Alliance did have that 7-0 lead, a 5k gold advantage over Najin Whiteshield. They had a big lead in the early game. It worked so well for them. What let them down a little bit was their vision. They didn't keep on pushing either. Now that we're going to see potentially Aurelia once again for Wicked, it is a comfort champion, but it just happens to be a champion that is fitting the meta right now. It is working quite well for the teams that have been picking it. Rumble, on the other hand, also had magnificent statistics. 7 wins, 1 loss so far, 4-0 yesterday here in Singapore, and has only had 2 bans against them, the last one being in the previous matchup, of course.
So one of their tactics we see, or we're going to start to see more and more, is people picking Aurelia into Rumble, simply because Rumble is great when he's with his team in the mid to late game and he can team fight. He's not so great in these one-on-ones against something like an Aurelia who can actually kill him. This means Kabum has to send someone else up to defend against Wicked, and suddenly you have this one-on-one where Aurelia should be in the advantage, and you're going to have a 4 versus 4 elsewhere in the map where Rumble won't really get to shine in these big team fights. So let's see what Wicked can actually do on his build up with Aurelia pick.
And team fighting is something that Kabum loves to do. They are aggressive. Dandagorn wears that as his middle name. And you can see with the fact that they want Jinx all the time, it gets banned against Minerva. The resets are what they want. They want to be in these fights. Kha'Zix, however, played by Dandagorn, allows him to be aggressive, and he did bring that out at the International Wildcard.
I'm happy he goes back to Lucian here. I actually like his performance against Cloud9. On it, like solid laning phase, you have a lot of big play potential and a lot of skirmish potential, and once again, mid-game power here from Kabum coming in. You have the Rumble, you have the Lucian. We're gonna have to see what Tin Owens wants to play in the mid lane here. We have seen him play Ahri before. Would actually work great into the comp they have at the moment.
Kha'Zix, one of the highest picked champions here at the World Championships. Once again, for Dandagorn, it's one of his most impressive champions. It's the one he's had the most victories on, that's for sure. So we'll see how that works out for him. Comfort picks all round so far for both teams, honestly. And of course, Tab's getting his hands on that Tristana. It seems that Nif, he goes for this Nami. Would be a comfort pick. Kassadin is available. Didn't go well in the last matchup, but this time around, maybe Froggen's hands feels confident, but Fizz was banned against Alliance in the first game of the day.
And it's been a champion Froggen has spammed in Korean solo queue, and it's a champion a lot of the players respect Froggen's ability on. When you talk with them about Alliance, they're always like, Froggen, he can carry on Fizz here. And Alliance, they want to have Froggen on these carry champions where, again, give him a kill early on. Shook loves to early gank mid lane. Get a kill onto Froggen and let him take control of the game. Let him just destroy the enemy team. Fizz is a great pick. You snowball into late game, you scale really well, you can one-on-one, you can also team fight really well in the Fizz. Alliance right now is just setting up for 1-3-1. You have Tristana sitting in the mid lane, static shift, Janna there for disengage, then you have the Lee Sin who can roam between the lanes, and of course Wicked and Froggen are going to be so strong in one-on-ones.
I was just going to say I'd love to see an Orianna, but with the Fizz pick we probably won't. That's a really tough lane, and looking at the team as well, it's going to be hard to hit a shockwave on any of these guys as they're hopping in, out, jumping left and right. That's a risky pickup, but it is something that Tin Owens likes to play.
So Kabum is putting full focus on 5 versus 5 team fights on their side here, but Alliance, if it's going to fit their style, they're never really going to be grouping up in a 5 versus 5 team fight. They can just split up the map constantly, focus on split pushing, because look at Kabum's side here. Who's going to stop Aurelia? Who's going to stop Fizz? Nobody. They're going to have to group as a unit, push down, force Alliance to come back and defend their towers or objectives, and then take the 5 versus 5.
It's going to be interesting to see whether Alliance decide to turn some aggression in this game, because they've been fairly passive. Despite the great start they had, they were finding picks, of course, against Najin White Shield earlier on today. They went back to that passive mode, which, of course, they played against Cloud9 yesterday. You'd feel against Kabum, this is the chance where they can show really the world, we can be an aggressive team, we can go for it. The fact that Fizz is picked in there, along with Lee Sin, you expect a lot of focus possibly on that mid lane for Shook.
We often see it again, Froggen and Shook, great friends. They were the original members of the super team as well. They wanted to play together. Exactly. I expect to see Shook in this mid lane a lot.
It's going to be crazy. We have to consider if Alliance coming in here as the super team, this is what they built for. Will they continue to go winless in the group? Remember, we'll be checking back throughout the game to see how the poll shifts. Keep voting on Twitter by sending either hashtag ALLWin or KBMWin to @LOLesports. It's about to get in game now for another one on the Rift. This one's going to be Alliance versus Kabum. Alliance looking to pick up a win so they do not go winless within their group. And they are on to the Rift. It's going to be Alliance on blue and Kabum on the red side.
Yeah, one of these teams will be leaving the halfway stage winless. Who will it be? Alliance or Kabum? Representing the Brazilian international wildcard team. Qualified, of course, over in PAX. They were an unusual qualifier. Nobody expected it. They were technically the 3rd seed in their region, but they came up trumps when it counted to make it through to that final. Of course, beating PEX over in PAX to the North American. PAX, it's easy to mix up. Absolutely. But Alliance, they are the #1 seed representing Europe, and currently yet to get a win on the board, which is caught so many people off guard. But it is a tough group, no doubt about it.
It is, and in this game here, Alliance, they need to be careful because Kabum's mid to late game comp here is super, super strong, and if Kabum manage to do well in the laning phase, take the lead, they can start taking objectives and Alliance won't be able to fight against them, and suddenly they can fall too far behind and Kabum can take the game. So Alliance needs to be careful in these lanes here. It's going to be a lot about Shook, what he can do. You can gank top lane, Aurelia, max E, you get the longest stun duration, easy setup for Lee Sin, and of course this mid lane, Orianna has no jumps, and she's actually not running any defensive summoners like we've seen before when it's Orianna against Fizz, and you're expecting a lot of action in the mid lane.
Well, not a lot of action in the early game as they get the buddy wards out. All wards pretty much holding hands here for the safety. Kabum stays looking for the 2v2 as well.
He just saw Froggen back off there. He's now got 4 health pots stacked up, so he went back and stacked himself up those extra pots. So expecting a bit of a rough time early on against Tinones in that mid lane. It is Orianna, his favorite champion, so you'd expect him to be pretty strong on it in the early phases. Of course, we do see red buff start by Shook, not really leashed out too heavily by Alliance, while a lot of support for Danagorn on that blue buff.
Yeah, that could be a problem for Kabum down this bottom lane. The fact they're going to lose the early push for level 2. And would actually mean Taps and Nif should be able to push the lane up and into the tower here in this bottom lane and take control of the bottom side of the map. And mid lane, of course, again, Tinones, he's just going to poke Froggen every single time he gets the chance. Flash, of course, is a defensive summoner, but for a second one. Wow, actually Kabum coming straight down and starting the push here. Should also get the early level 2.
So just got a glimpse in that top lane. Wicked tried to go aggressive early on. The level 1 aggression from Aurelia, it can work out, but Left turned it around and answered it very well and forced Wicked back.
No summoners blown just yet for this bottom side. You can see Tinones in the mid lane. Playful Tricks are coming in, definitely taking that shield and ball movement. You can easily stop that dot damage and a lot of pressure, and Tinones knows how to play this one.
And what we often see in this matchup between Fizz and Orianna is they're actually fairly even in CS in the start because Fizz has the flask, has a lot of health potions. But once Orianna managed to poke enough and get Fizz to use all the sustain he has, then he starts falling back and has falling behind. Top lane though, gang onto Lep.
Uh-oh, Lep in trouble here. He does have his flash up very low. He's trying to hold it for the last second. Scrap shield goes on and he blows the flash and goes down. Had to consider the red buff as well there. Would have taken him out past the flash.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was actually waiting for here. After the dash from Shook, he could have just tried and flash away on the tower.
Right.
Danagorn was moving to the top lane, trying to come for a counter gank. In the end though, you get a kill for Alliance now, and you force the flash.
Oh, double flash in the mid lane as well. Froggen pushes Tinones away. Meanwhile, of course, his jungler was coming around back down the bottom lane. Taps pulled in, has to rocket jump out. The exhaust was used out there. Nif still keeping the pressure on. Minerva was taken pretty low from that Ignite, of Nif. These lanes are absolutely trading early on.
A lot of action here. Kabum down this bottom lane again. Dance with the hook, start the fight here. They want to be aggressive all the time. Up in his top lane, Wicked still has flash ready, and Danagorn is once again looking towards this top lane. He always wants to gank for Lep.
Lep pretty much forced to push that lane with his Flame Spitter. Already taking control of Shook from lane to lane. Being very methodical and omnipresent right now in the beginning of this game, getting every use he can out of the buffs he's holding.
This is the Shook we were expecting to see, the Shook that, as of yet, hasn't really appeared in this tournament. Now that he is on LinkedIn, he's of course one of the few Europeans that do very well on that champion. We'll see how he delivers. This is absolutely his time to shine. Tabs in this bottom lane. Had to burn that heal early on as well as Nif's Ignite, so there is still the flash and heal available for Minerva, so can get out of that sticky situation. But once again, we see Tabs and Nif putting pressure, pushing them into the tower.
Yeah, again, they did actually lose the fight for level 2, even though they didn't actually really unleash the red buff, and Kabum did. But that's one of the powers of Lucian coming down and just instantly push lane. And also because Minerva and Dance, they like to play aggressive in the lane.
And we see Tinones warding bot, but it's Shook. Mobility boots top already. Back to make plays, back to take that flash down from Lep into consideration.
And really using the early power of Lee Sin here. He is going to be stronger than the Kha'Zix, and he wants to keep ganking, snowball his lanes.
He's going to walk in, Flame Spitter running. Wicked wants to take damage and get the bait him. Yeah, he's trying to bait him in, trying to keep that Blade Surge going, trying to show that he's using it. There's the kick, going to land on towards him, but I think Lep might be safe on this one. You can see he's going to try and get away. They're going to have to tower dive, and they will go for it. They have enough damage. Wicked taking too many tower hits. He just about gets away. Shook will be able to walk off as well. And again, the gank on the top lane is successful.
And Danagorn is not there. I mean, he keeps walking up to the top lane when Shook is not there, and then he walks back to his jungle to farm, and Shook finds an opening in the top lane. If he had been there for the counter gank this time around, easy pickup here for him. He could have killed Wicked, probably also killed Shook, but obviously that's easy for us to say because we can see the entire map.
Good in and out coming from that left, being hit pretty good. Still has the equalizer, but it is going to be quite diminished. Already Wicked at level 6, left still 5, so there's going to be a lot of harass coming in that top lane. Froggen and Tinones hitting 6 at the same time here. No chum the waters there, but that is the in and the out. Viz always playing the back and the forth in this matchup versus Orianna. It's quite a, just makes you want to pull your hair out. 6 minutes, actually almost 7 on the clock. Oh wow, going for the dive on this one. He can Playful Trickster out, and that is the utility and damage that they bring. I said it was going to be a hard matchup because they're all just going to be jumping around.
This is a very early dives from Alliance, but they want to get the kills on the solo laners. Froggen now did manage to get the kill, Shook picked it up, but he can now go back to base, buy his items, don't have to care about losing any CS because they just managed to kill Tinones anyway.
Oh, Wicked feeling confident now. He's already burnt everything from left, and now he's just pumping out of the lane. Equalizer turned around, I think almost in frustration from the left there as he overheats, and Wicked will just back away. He's building up towards that frenzy force. He's confident in that lane matchup now.
Yeah, but that was a great turnaround here by Lev. There was Wicked couldn't dash away from it. She actually had to flash to get out of the ulti from Lev, so nice play here. Forcing the flash. Let's see if Danagorn can actually use this opportunity. No flash on Wicked, no flash on Froggen in this mid lane, just for a few seconds. That's going to be hard to punish.
So the blue buff trying to be used to whittle away Froggen in this mid lane so he doesn't have the aggression to just go under the turret once again, and out with Playful Trickster. Danagorn really being shut down by Shook here. He's been all over the map and has not been able to apply from Danagorn's side the pressure he wants from Kha'Zix.
Trouble is brewing in that mid lane. Froggen out farming Tinones considerably, considering it is an Orianna Fizz matchup on the first 6 levels, now just hitting level 7. Bottom lane also starting to put some pressure down and forcing them away. We did just see Minerva's gone back, get himself that BF sword. There's the blue buff for Froggen. And that's only going to spell yet more trouble, I feel. All this mid laner on Tinones. Danagorn getting this red buff, needs to get involved in these ganks that are happening. He's trying, but he's just a little too late to the party. This time around, Shook spotted by the ward, and he's going to go face to face with Danagorn.
Oh, the dodge out. Very nicely done there. Will he be able to get himself in? Oh, a little too bit quick of a kick there before the resonating strike comes in, so he can't finish the damage in the end. He kicks Danagorn away. But still, Danagorn, he just came out. Now he's forced to go back again, creating zero pressure for the team. 201 Shook, really putting his foot down. Still staying towards the top lane, see if he can catch left in an aggressive state. As you see Tinones, he does not want to get close to Froggen right now.
No, and we just again see Shook using this Lee early on to win the fights against Danagorn, to gank the lanes constantly. And Danagorn can only come in for a counter gank. He can't go face to face with Shook at this point here. He needs more time. He's going to outscale him, but that's going to be, I mean, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the future, which might not be enough for Kabum because the lines at the moment are just snowballing these solo lanes.
Oh, Wicked just dashing in, getting a quick basic attack onto Lep and going straight out before Lep can turn it around. Danagorn again is close by. We'll see if he decides to go there. Good culling coming out here. A lot of damage on Nip there. That's going to force him low on this turret. There's a big minion wave as well for Kabum, but they've got no support because Danagorn's trying to help out the top lane.
Well, for now he's actually just sitting back to farm because the lanes have been able to stay alive for the last few minutes. He is ahead in farm compared to Shook. Let's see what happens around this mid lane. Danagorn is here as well.
Ultimate again. They're looking to get a refresh on that blue buff from Tinones. A nice double shockwave to bring in Froggen and Shook, and it will deter them a little bit from re-engaging. And that one left very low in the top lane as he overheats. He's trying not to get pushed in.
The second they showed in that mid lane, Wicked went aggressive in the top onto Lep. You can see he burned his equalizer and his flash. Danagorn finds Shook, kicks him in there. He's got the support of Froggen, flashes straight out of it, tries to force him away. Playful Trickster's not going to find him. The Ignite will not get him.
Calculated,
Just
staying alive.
about heals himself up.
Just managed to flash out here. Once again, though, every time we see the two junglers meet each other, Shook has the advantage, getting all the damage on Danagorn and forcing him back to base, and back into his own jungle.
And Alliance continuously looking to push this. Shook, Sightstone immediately with those boots. Been putting down some deep wards as well. And we just look at the lanes. What damage has this done? The discrepancy, gigantic towards that top lane. Minerva doing what he can in the bottom, though, to keep the pressure up.
Yeah, the way back in the game here for Kabum is not to keep going with these solo laners for the entire game long, because they're falling further and further behind. Array's going to be stronger and stronger, and so same goes for Fizz in these one-on-ones here. Kabum, they have to try and force objectives. Rumble has Haunting Guys and ulti up soon. They could go potentially for a Dragon here and see if Alliance want to try and contest it, and then use the Rumble ult to win the fight.
Taps making sure he doesn't get tagged up there. The culling comes through once again, gets interrupted nicely by Nip for that Howling Gale. This time around, Danagorn was nearby, but you can see there's a ward that actually spotted him in and around that blue buff area. I think it's just timed out, but they knew that he was heading, which is why they're playing a little bit cautiously this time around. Good pressure from Kabum. They may just take the first tower of the game here.
Minerva would love to get that. Maybe have a lane to farm it for a little bit. Up towards the top lane. Once again, this is definitely a diveable thing. Transcendent Blades coming out from Wicked. They kick him up against the wall, and they are going to take down Lep once again.
It is so hard. I mean, the guy is almost standing at his tower the entire game long, and yet Shook can just walk up, dive onto him. They're gonna need some wards if they want to spot the dive, so Danagorn can move up and try and counter gank it. Otherwise, abandon the lane. You're losing it. You keep giving up kills now. Try and go for an objective. Go down towards.
They're gonna go Danagorn.
They're going for Danagorn now.
They can't get too close. They may be able to land the Sonic Wave. No, not quite. Tries to go for a blind swing and a miss. But they're going to get forced away here. In comes Lep. Can he come around? A good equalizer may be enough if they can catch it down there. It does separate them, but it is going to be a quick back off. Look at this, though. In comes Froggen sneaking in on the side. They're always going to back away. Wicked really is keeping Lep on his toes.
It's constantly looking for these fights here because they know they are so strong. Teleport was used by Lep up in this top lane as well. Danagorn staying around. And Dance wants to join in as well. After they got this bot lane tower, Kabum can look to now switch their dual lane, maybe up to the top side and try and go for another tower.
Wicked been a bit more vocal lately in the fact that he, as he does well, he makes the calls for the team, feels a lot more confident, and the team themselves feel more confident going throughout the game. So getting him early, or getting him going early rather, is a plus for everybody on the map. So far the pressure has been to the top side, and like you said, Danagorn to be pressuring for Minerva, pressure for the mid lane, get those guys.
I actually like the Kabum idea here of sending Minerva to this mid lane together with Tinones, because Fizz doesn't have a lot of save wave clear. He has to jump into the minions, and he will take a lot of damage if he does so, which means Kabum can actually push down this mid lane, get some damage on the tower, Seems as though Froggen is not going to be interested in staying and defending. He wants more action in top lane.
Well, the ward will spot him, but you can't stick around, buddy. If there's a fish coming up out of water, you need to run the hell away. Currently, though, Wicked, with the help of Shook in that top lane, you just give him so much confidence in that lane matchup right now. He's just bullying that every chance he gets. Blue buff given across to Froggen. He hops, skipping a jumper away. In this bottom lane, they've gone a little bit far here. Dance is going to try and cut them off. It is just Tabs that's having to back away. Didn't have a great deal of vision in their own jungle right now.
But this is some very good deep wards from Kabum because they're setting up for the mid lane push, and at the same time they're setting up for potential dragon because they have these wards behind the dragon pit now to spot a line if they want to try and contest it. So I actually like the deep wards they're placing now. They just need to use them, try and apply some pressure on this mid lane, or go for this dragon here. You have the Rumble pick with the Haunting guys.
Definitely a possibility. Good wards coming out from Froggen and the rest of the team. Deep wards coming in from Kabum into their jungle side on the red. Power spikes really coming out of the side now of Alliance. We see a bit of that Lichbane being built up here by Froggen, but Wicked, Triforce already finished just about 14 minutes in.
That's scary, scary stuff already. It was such an early Trinity Force.
Oh man, I feel for the top lane left. Seconds out, round 4, it could be coming. We see once again Chug heading in there. It's Tabs is going to have to get out of the way. The culling now from Minerva forces him away. Tabs having a little bit of problems down there. You can see he's falling behind in farm. Of course, he is in a tougher lane. Minerva being strong on Lucian early on. That ping ward battle is going to be won out as well by Dance protecting it, if not able to get close enough. But the movement all seems to be towards his top lane right now for Alliance as they group.
And it is pretty crazy with this bottom lane from Kabum. I mean, Minerva was actually recruited as the support, while Dance was the AD carry and the shot call at the same time. And then they decided to swap roles because Dance could use, I mean, he had a better view of the game. He had obviously the ability to make big plays on a champion like Thresh, and then he could shot call from the support side, and then Minerva could be the AD carry. And he hasn't been an AD carry for long, and yet they're actually performing really well. Down this bottom lane 2v2, pretty much every single game they've played.
Nif starting to get his roam on a little bit. Also, pink wards for him so they can start moving them up. Minerva wanting to put down the aggression. Buster shot immediately from Tabs. He doesn't want to be taking any light bringers, especially that Ardent Blaze for Minerva to stay in range. He's taking a lot of minion damage right there.
That is actually a very good use of ulti from Tabs because there's not a lot of life steal. It's only the Dawn's Blade for Minerva here. So get him low, use your ulti every time it's off cooldown, just to poke him down, and you should be able to stay in the lane and potentially go for a kill later on.
Swing and a miss from both Shook and Dance there. Froggen looking to try and get himself rolling. Has yet to find that kill. Of course, got just that assist earlier on, but keeping up in farm with the Orianna's not a bad move for Tinones. Doing okay. Wicked sidestepping once again. Not managed to land that leash on towards him. He's going to continue farming, of course, now. With that Trinity Force will be very confident. Still, neither team showing any signs of looking towards this dragon right now, despite the fact we're at the 17-minute mark.
Alliance is happy sitting and farming. Again, your solo laners are getting free farm. They're getting all the kills they need. You can keep this laning phase going, and it's just all about Tabs sitting down this bottom lane at the same time and farming and prevent Kabum from going dragon.
And it's one thing, whenever you talk to Froggen, he always says, I do not care about my team being flashy. I just want to win games, no matter how they do it. Danagon forced away. They're going to try and turn this back onto the line.
As well.
Oh, Lep trying to come in. A nice equalizer. Dance missing the hook to keep Shook cooking on that one. They get out quite easily. And it doesn't look like they find too much pressure off of that, but they do draw the teleport up. That might be a little bit of the time they now want to go for the dragon if they don't just kill Lep off of this one. No. He's got to know they're still close. Spend the whole game.
They're going for him.
Oh, they're going to jump in. He gets kicked backwards. Wicked Treska's slow down. In comes the rest of Kabum, though. They're trying claps around him. They do not get the lantern down in time, and Shook gets himself the 4th kill. He is absolutely on a roll on Lee Sin.
And Lep was actually down the bottom lane here, but then he had to teleport up to the top lane because the fight started. And he was stuck in the lane once again, and Shook and Wicked was just waiting in the bush, killing him. Now they can actually take this tower here. There's a lot of members from Kabum nearby. They might look to fight.
Could indeed look to fight here. Dance to hit this hook. A very nice Howling Gale from Nif, which pretty much stops everything with a simple Q. The turret goes down 5-0 here. 3,000 gold lead for Alliance, as it looks like they could be heading towards their first win in this group stage.
All of that attention they drew away has given Tabs and Froggen free farm. They've also got themselves a lot of good vision down in around this dragon area, so we may see the first move. Look at this though. Tabs and Froggen just waiting off the side. They know that Kabum are going to get drawn towards his tower. And Lep, jump the waters out and is missed, ladies and gentlemen. It does happen. Froggen misses skill shots.
Got to believe in the Lep that believes in himself. He got out of that one quite clean. Looks like he's going to try to make plays with the team here. They are down there. Great moves from Lep because his teleport's down. Everybody's down and ready for the dragon to fish out.
And now they're grouped 5 members here. Doesn't seem like they actually want to go straight for this dragon. There's a lot of wards around the area from Alliance already. But Kabum, you can't really go back up to Wicked up in his top lane. He's going to kill you one-on-one. You have to try and force something as a team.
And a Hex Drinker now being picked up by Wicked as well is going to cause problems. Like you said, nobody can deal with him right now. He's just going to keep on split pushing, keeping all the problems on him. Kabum maybe going to try and create a play here. They catch Shook out. This would be some good goal. The kick on Danagon. He tries to jump away, but he will be taken down. The first kill for Kabum.
Such a nice play here by Dance, interrupting the safeguard from Shook, so he couldn't get away and just managed to pick up the first kill. Again though here, Lep walking around this mid lane. Seems like they don't want to go for Dragons because Minerva is actually sitting in his top lane here defending against Wicked.
2-man defense coming in from Tinones and Lep in the mid lane. They're going to throw down the fire, and they're going to get that cleared out nicely. Alliance not really looking for too much right now without Shook on the map, who's really been a playmaker this game. 4-1-1. Definitely a switch up from the Elise play we saw on day 1.
I also have to say, I really love all the support people are giving to Kabum. I mean, we had yesterday on Twitter where people were with the hashtags as well. I mean, even predicted to win the game here. I mean, they have so many fans. I was looking at Reddit, people are putting posts up saying, let's all support Kabum here. And they are a really likable team. And I like the fact here, they're really trying to give Alliance a fight.
They said themselves they were not very happy with the loss over Cloud9. They felt they could have won that one. And you know what? If you look at the game, maybe just coming out of lane phase, there was a possibility where it could have turned around for them.
Yeah.
Alliance have to back away from Dragon. Not going to go for it here. Shook is there, but the rest of the team not quite on the same page.
Yeah, Alliance is waiting to see if they spot Minerva up in his top side. They do actually got the ward. So they know he's on top side. Wicked can keep pushing it. He's the only member who can actually stay at the tower to defend, but it simply means Alliance can start the dragon. They have the teleport advantage as well if they want to take it.
So many wards paying off here. That one as well. You can see Kabum pretty much backing all over the map, and it kind of leads to dragons. The first, and finally as they go for dragon, it's going to be Alliance first. They have all the wards around them. They pretty much paid for this dragon, so they need it back.
They're getting the best of both worlds. They've taken the dragon and put a massive dent in towards that top tower. You can see Minion wave in left. Actually, Wicked didn't really do a great deal of damage to it after all. Kind of stood looking at it maybe. We didn't quite see it on the screen. But it does mean that Kabum now are slipping slowly but surely away in gold. It's only a 4,000 gold differential. We've seen Alliance already give up a 5,000 gold differential earlier on to Najee and White Shield. But Kabum, they're going to have to step up something here to slow Alliance's slow chokehold.
Might go for Froggen here.
Stepping up a little bit. Shum the Waters comes out. Dan's quickly stepping out around that one. He's going to come up with a kill for himself. Flashes to land the Trickster. Ardent Blaze hits. One more shot's going to give Minerva the passive movement speed. He picks up the buffs, but what can they gain off of this?
Well, you get assist for your team as well. You get a double buff on your AD carry here. Let's see what Kabum can actually force. We saw Alliance. They've already been splitting up in this 1-3-1. Tap sitting in the mid lane. Froggen pushing a lane, and of course Wicked pushing the other side lane, which is what they want to do the entire game long. Kabum ready to respond. Yes, okay. Danagon went down, but you got the assist for your team as well.
Still trying to sneak around in towards that top lane. Was spotted out by a ward. Nif also closing in, but we do see Kabum closing the gap here. Nif will take that pink ward down. The hook comes through, does not quite land, and a good Howling Gale stops Kabum in their tracks. Ping goes down in the mid lane on Tabs. He tries to push a wave in. They're desperately defending this mid lane turret, and it's working well.
Seeing the way that they're getting disengaged on these, Kabum must see that they need to sweep a little bit more. They're walking through wards everywhere. Simple disengages from Alliance are making this a little too easy. Still a trinket up there for Lep as he tries to keep himself safe. And the pink wards getting cleared out as well. So Kabum is just getting forced back a little bit more here. Maybe they'll find the fight in Alliance. Uh-oh, Shook's gonna be in. Nice flash there. Danagorn also able to help stave off a little bit more of the engage.
Trading flash with flash over in his top lane here. Shook wanted to flash Q onto Lep and then try and follow him if he flashed after. Meanwhile though, Minerva and Tinons pushing this mid lane. See the response from Alliance.
Good pressure. Shook's going to find Danagorn in the jungle. They're going to trade on this one. Shook doesn't fancy it. Danagorn forces him into the Baron pit. That's the safeguard across. But Froggen has been pulled and drawn into that mid lane. He's just shoved a wave all the way up to that tower right now. And Alliance pull to defend, but it doesn't seem that Kabum are going to go for it. Forces the flash from Wicked there. Good bait from Dance.
And Alliance, they know if Kabum is standing here as a team, they are very, very strong. So if you land the hook onto someone like Wicked who's out of position, Kabum might actually be able to take him down, respond by taking a tower as well. Rumble is level 12 at the moment, so you have your rank 2 ulti. Very, very strong power spike for him, and I really hope we're gonna see Kabum for the next dragon. Try and go down 5 members and take the fight against Alliance. Don't just give this dragon away.
And imagine what that fight would be like if there wasn't so much focus top. That's only the place they put it. If you look at the rest of the map, these lanes are quite even. But Shook was able to get so much pressure up top, it kind of ran Kabum thin. Now, hopefully getting it back with these objectives. They do have the equalizer, they do have the shockwave, the resets from Danagorn can come in, but it's all easier said than done.
Froggen is back in this mid lane, hasn't quite completed that Zhonya's Hourglass, just waiting for his moment to back off, but it does buy yet more time for Wicked to continue his pressure, and his seemingly lane buddy right now, Shook, is alongside him. Don't think they're going to be able to get this red buff stolen away. Will back off, and again, Wicked popping that ultimate. Equalizer goes down from left there, a little bit early on that one, tries to slow Wicked in his tracks, and the rest of Alliance are happy to collapse here. They're going to find on towards Dance. There's the kick in towards the forest. Will try and lock him up, but he does get away. Tries to turn the death sentence back on him. Close engagement still, but Kabum are hanging on.
Yeah, Lep really needs to save his ulti though for a potential team fight and not try and catch Wicked. He also had half the ulti coming actually into the wall here, so it was easy for Wicked to sidestep and get out of it. But the fact that Alliance warded up the red buff and was staying around it should mean for Kabum, okay, Alliance want to contest this red buff here. We might get a fight in the jungle, which is what you want as a Rumble, as an Orianna here. So Lep, he needs to save his ulti. Don't use it to try and catch out someone like Wicked at this point. Have it ready for a potential team fight, and then use it if Alliance is fighting in a choke point in the jungle.
Really wanting to help make plays. There's got to be a lot of pressure on him. He's feeling from the laning phase coming out of this one, but it was really brought on by Shook. I'm sure the team realizes he's still there, and he's definitely still going to make an impact in the game.
Gigantic differential in that top lane, really. 234 CS to 133. Lep is very much being camped on again. Look at this, Shook heading back up to the top lane, absolutely living alongside Wicked in this lane. Does of course mean the fact that Shook has been there for so long that Lep is not too far behind in actual experience. He's just not getting the CS. He's able to stick close enough to the minions going down, just doesn't get that last hit that he's been looking for. Kabum themselves, for the last 5 minutes, have prevented any objectives falling.
Yeah, Alliance is playing this very, very slow. They're basically just waiting to outscale with their split pushers here, and of course taps on Tristana, getting to his late game point. They don't really want to fight in the mid game. We talked about how Kabum had such a strong mid game comp with the Rumble. You have the Lucian pick, and even Orianna with her Fiend starts to become stronger and stronger. So Alliance didn't want to go for the fights. Let's see what they do now.
Definitely put a target on his head with that Rumble pick. It has such a high win rate, so Alliance was not going to let that go through the game easily. They take down Lep once again at 0-5-0.
You got to feel for Danagorn. He was like looking there, he was like, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. As soon as he messes up that blade surge, I'm going to go for it. As soon as Froggen came out, it's like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. You're all on your own there, Lep. It does mean, of course, that this defensive unit is going to be tricky. In goes Froggen, feeling confident. He's got that Zhonya's Hourglass completed. Happily slides through. Tinone's thought about closing the gap, but while it's all happening, Alliance just close out another objective, and the Dragon goes their way, keeping the gold flowing in their direction.
It's been all about this top lane here. You even see Alliance place like the pink ward up on the top side here, just above the Baron, to make sure, okay, we can always walk past the Baron, up to the top lane. We know we have a pink ward, so there's no wards from Kabum, and then we can jump onto Lep again and kill him, get objectives elsewhere on the map as well, because so many members from Kabum is focused on this top lane here. Poor Lep, he's really been in trouble, and
oh man,
double Danish.
Indeed, coming up, not even a chum the waters necessary for that one. They know they had the control with the wards around them, and that means all those ultimates are still ready for use. Going a little hard here. Chum the waters now coming out for Dan's. The Zanya, that's going to be a hit. The static Shiv Burst coming in with a nice shot from Tabs. They got eyes on the turret, and Danagorn again forced to watch his team go down. 28-30, one of the first second-tier turrets taken down.
And finally, Tabs actually joins the action here, just walking up, last hitting, getting his first kill. He's just been farming pretty much the entire game long.
Here's what that's called, kill secure. Don't worry, Froggen, I got you covered. I'm gonna save you with this last cannon shot. So, Tino's shockwave so close to catching on towards him. Wasn't quite there, not the shockwave, sorry, sonic wave. Close. Got the shockwave.
They're both on the
be a problem. And speaking of shockwaves, we haven't seen one for quite a while. Honestly, Tabs just free hitting on the turret and takes it down.
Kabum simply can't really step up here. Minerva was in his own jungle actually farming the Wolf camp, and he's looking towards his bottom lane because it's been pushed up already. So he wasn't there for the wave clear.
Don't go for it, Minerva. Don't go for it. Froggen's off the side. In comes Nif. Tries to keep him around there. The Death Sentence will land, but it's Froggen he catches. He's got himself a Rabadon's Death Cap. Sorry, he's going to build up towards him. Minerva going to get caught out. Froggen taking low. The Zonia's is not quite off cooldown yet. Will he get picked up? Tino's dropped. They're going to keep on rushing.
Dan's very low on this one. Danagorn had to jump out, so he's not going to be able to reset back in off of anything because there's no kills coming. And even with Froggen throwing the fish out of the boat on that, they were able to take the fight to Tinones and Dan.
And Leb once again.
Oh no. No piercing the heavens this time.
Well, we say it so many times when Alliance, this is what they want to do. This is how they work in Europe. They just get to that one power point and they push.
Absolutely.
And suddenly, Kabum find themselves down 2 outer turrets. And this is where it all started. The hook on Froggen, not really the mid laner you wanted.
He's a slippery one.
They get some damage on him. Then Minerva actually dancing around here, dodging the fish as well from Froggen, but the rest of Alliance is able to join in. Let's see what Froggen is actually doing here, just dancing around. He has minions, don't have to care about the tower at all. He can just safely actually walk out here and they're feeling him a little bit as well. And the rest of Alliance can clean up the fight, and they're not done yet, of course, killing Lib.
So, Alliance now clearing out all the ward coverage in and around that Baron. I'm not sure that's their target. May well just be a little bit of bait to draw them in. Good call in from Minerva once again, finding its target, finding the back of Froggen. A little bit of bait as well, it seems, by the sounds of it. Trying to taunt him out, but Kabum, they dare not go in that jungle right now. They have pink wards on the outskirts, but Alliance have it completely littered right now.
But you can see how teams actually respect Kabum a lot here in the way they play. They don't just like go over aggressive 24/7 in the game and want to finish it in 20 minutes. They're actually respecting the power spikes of Kabum. They're respecting the 5 versus 5 power they do have. So Alliance has just been taking it pretty slow, making sure they can get this win here and don't have to risk Kabum coming back in the game.
Well, someone it is coming. It's Danagorn going to try and sneak around the side. Can he get close enough to try and jump in? No, instead forced away. Shook takes down the Baron. And Alliance secure yet another objective. They're now 11,000 gold ahead in this matchup and looking very strong for their first victory. But how much do they really take from it? That's the question. This was a win that's expected of this team. It's the other wins they need. And at the halfway mark, being 1 and 2, not the position I think they'd be feeling they'd be in. Let's not count them out just yet, but it is looking very strong for Alliance here.
Something that we've been seeing from teams as well, NA and EU, because all the other teams are pretty much putting their foot down when they have this big lead, is will they decide to close it out or do they go slow? Give other teams a point to find weakness. Been seeing them pushing too hard. They've been happy to stay on the outside. Like you're saying, Deficio, they're definitely respecting that power, but they got to find a way around it to start ending these games as well.
All the way around it is what they're doing now. Once again, Froggen and Wicked in each side lane, push it up here, taps in this mid lane, level 16, has a long range of Tristana already, and just push down every single tower. Maybe even go for a dive around. Froggen was showing himself, but now they just take the tower. Once again, want to go for any aggressive tower dives.
They're going to be careful nobody gets drawn too deep against Wicked. He's looking to pounce right now. Splitting off, all 3 lanes being pushed up by Alliance. It's going to draw Kabum away from one of these inhibitors. The question is, which one will it be? Danagorn just about avoiding the Sonic Wave, and Alliance, they find themselves the top turret. The bottom turret's also being pushed. Wicked's getting the damage down on that one, and Kabum are being pulled from pillar to post.
They have minions on every lane on the front step right now. Like you said, stretched very thin. 33 minutes into the game, Alliance looking to put the nail in the coffin here, possibly. Aurelia on the bottom side, and it's going to be actually Tabs taking the top side to himself.
Still just pushing every single lane. Might go for Minerva. Oh, Jungle water pulled in. Good landing though.
Follows on Minerva, doesn't matter. That's the inhibitor turret going down. The top lane is also going to drop, and suddenly Alliance find themselves in an exposed Kabum base.
This is exactly what they need. Just get down the first few towers, go towards the inhibitors here, open up the base. Wicked. It's not done down this bottom lane.
Not at all. Too strong to be done right now. 296 to 164 in that lane with the constant pressure towards left. Minerva throwing out the culling to make sure Tabs doesn't get too close to drop that inhibitor. Wicked going 1v1 with 10 owns there. Shook was on the backside, but was really hitting the inhibitor. These guys have multiple things on their plate, and they're able really to act on every one of them. Now to the mid lane as the top inhibitor has been taking down. Alliance is turning Kabum's base into shambles. Wicked could get caught out a little bit here. Looks like the box goes down for a disengage. Nobody follows through.
First time flash being used by Wicked there, but again, all towers now down. The inhibitor is gonna drop. Tabs forced away from this one. Kabum desperately trying to find a target. Is it Wicked? Shockwave pulls him in. Have they got enough? The monsoon lands. Danagorns is gonna get focused. He gets burnt on down. Shook goes deep. Punts and left straight back in towards Alliance. They give themselves a second. Tabs gets himself the double. Keeps on pushing through, and Kabum are forced away. It is finally one kill. Shook will drop, but all inhibitors are now down, and Alliance have themselves a strong chance to win.
They can just go back now here, buy some items, wait for your super minions to also stay around with your Baron buff. I mean, you have a lot of minions spawning into the base here. No super minions just yet, which is what they want. Really make the last push. Still have Tabs. You can take down these towers in just a few seconds. You have Lich Bane on Froggen as well. TP from Wicked. Alliance don't care about super minions.
This looks like it could be the final push here coming in. Tabs, we were saying earlier on the analyst desks, liking to see these 80 carries not afraid to step up and hit these turrets while the turrets are hitting back. And we saw Tabs face checking a little bit there. He gets out safely. 402 for him on this game. Doing very well for the team, keeping himself safe on that split push as well. Dragon's live, but it's all about what's in front of their eyes right now. Alliance is still staying to keep this game in their favor.
Well, double super minions pushing in. You gotta wonder what's holding Alliance back. I know the Baron buff's worn off, but come on, guys. You have a gigantic lead. All three inhibitors down. It's just time you find a pick here, and that is what they're looking. Double super minions coming in the top. Double super minions coming in the bottom, and rotating through in the mid lane as well. Alliance drawing on through, trying to find that one simple time to push. They're so careful of that Sonic Wave landing. Shockwave landing of Tino. I'll get it the right way around eventually. This time around, Froggen is pushing in. Danagorn's going to be the focus. Wicked jumps on towards him. They force him back onto the fountain right now. They put the damage down on the Nexus turret. Alliance will finally take their first victory at World Championships. It's been a long time coming, that's for sure. And they still took the time to do it here.
Doesn't look like it's going to be an easy road, though, with this being the first win the team created to win Worlds, a super team from Froggen. Struggling a little bit, but that win definitely going to bolster the spirits somewhat.
Yeah, and for Kabum here, I mean, we kind of saw the same tactic. Dance and Minerva down this bottom lane, they can handle themselves in the 2v2, did a very good job, got the tower as well. Minerva didn't even die in the game here. And then Leb is always the focus for the enemy team. You want to kill him as many times as possible in the top lane here. Yesterday, Danagorn was sitting in the bushes waiting for pretty much the entire game long. Today, he decided to farm a bit more, and suddenly Shook was there to just kill Leb. Not sure if tomorrow if he's going back to the wait game and just hope to counter gank early on. I mean, it is so hard because there's so much focus on Leb up in this top lane.
Yeah, I kind of feel sorry for him, honestly. 0-8-1 at the end there was constantly out. Wicked and Shook working very well as a combo, but that's a good sign for Alliance fans, the fact that they did work out so well. But let's not get carried away. Because Shook was on Lee Sin, Wicked was on Aurelia, both on their very favorite champions.
Some good picks there. Also, got to consider that win weight on Rumble. They didn't want that to happen again for the game. They actually weren't even able to use a Rumble all in conjunction with an Ori ult around Dragon. Where you want it, why you picked them, that mid game. They were able to just kind of shut that strategy right down.
And that was kind of why the game was pretty slow, because Alliance never wanted to go for these 5 versus 5 fights. They were respecting the damage from Kabum and just said, okay, let's just keep split pushing. Shook can keep going for the kills. Aurelia shows why she's so strong in this top lane of setting up the ganks, of course. overall, slow win by Alliance, but keeping it pretty safe.
It was a very slow one indeed. So we're going to head over towards the analyst desk for a breakdown of Alliance's first win.
Thank you very much, guys. Alliance, let's be frank, they came out, they outclassed Kabum, I think, especially in the top lane. Just before we talk about how Shook really pitched a tent and camped Lep's lane, I want to highlight Cloud9 banned Lee Sin against Alliance, and it was first picked away from Shield. And seeing what Shook just did on that champion, it shows why, and I don't know if he's going to get his hands on Lee Sin again, because that was a Shook we haven't seen in the previous games.
One thing I want to touch upon is Irelia in this tournament so far is 6-1. So we're talking about Rumble being really good. Irelia is 6-1, and the only loss was Wicked's previous game against Najin White Shield, which he should have won. So Irelia would technically be undefeated so far. Just some food for thought.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, but it's interesting thinking about these sort of pick and ban trends because I feel like we watch a game and we're like, they're never going to eliminate that champion again. Like, Darius' Rumble, one of them. Gorilla's Thresh, yet he keeps getting it for some reason. Like, Peke, his Ahri was unbanned after we just saw him, like, hard carry a game from Fnatic about, 3 games ago. So, I don't know, a lot of teams are sort of focusing on what they think teams are like and not looking at the game that they just had 2 hours ago and being like, now that's the thing.
Yeah, and Minerva must be so sick of playing Lucian, winning lane against Tristana, and then getting outscaled. That actually happened to him against Cloud9 yesterday, and earlier today you saw Tabs play that reverse matchup. He was the Lucian playing against Tristana, and he won lane early, but then later on Tristana just kind of outclasses Lucian in every way. So I expect to see a lot less of that matchup because it's just such a unfavorable one for Lucian.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is also these teams are having a really hard time closing out their games, right? If these teams would be able to finish games in 30 minutes, Tristana would never catch up and it'd be a game win, but they're not doing it.
I completely agree with that. I want to just kick off a point there about Kabum. Once again, they are showing, at least in the mid lane and their duo lane, they're keeping up with the respective opponents. CS-wise, applying pressure. I mean, Tabs and Nif, yeah, the matchup, you can talk about it, but they were on the back foot. Minerva and Dance were in their face, putting a lot of pressure on them and really forcing them to react. So I want to give, once again, some props to the mechanical side of it, but Kabum just don't seem to strategically be on the same page in terms of looking for dragons, looking for, tower picks and other decisions around the map.
Yeah, their jungle top lane synergy seemed way off. Like the timing of the gangs combined out with the minion waves. There's nothing wrong with conceding top lane when you're playing Rumble, by the way. Just base, go to dragon, force people to come to the dragon, if not take it for free. I mean, if you're going to end up being camped anyways and you're going to fall so far behind that you barely can touch your creeps, you might as well do that and just roam somebody else. Even if something as dumb as just walking straight down bottom and throwing an equalizer down can get you a tower. That frees up Dan's and he can roam around as well. So I want Lep to be more versatile. If he does get camped, if he does get outclassed, transition his play to other parts of the map and then let his teammates fix his problems for him.
Final thoughts, Doublelift?
I just want to talk a little bit about the psychological aspect that nobody really talks about too much. Lep has had a really bad tournament so far, to be honest, but there's two really prevalent mindsets. One is, I'm just going to lose gracefully because I'm not having a good tournament. The other one is, I want to go for aggressive plays and redeem myself and get that glory back to show people that I am world class. I think Lep, maybe, just from what I've seen, he's trying to redeem himself by playing aggressively on Rocket, even though he's not having a good tournament, where he should just try to lose gracefully and let his team kind of move it forward.
Well, we'll have to see if that mindset will change at all. Guys, we are going to take one last break before we dive into the final game of the day. It'll be North America's LMQ versus the Korean squad, Samsung Blue. Stay with us, you won't want to miss it.
Stepping up a little bit, Show 'em the Waters comes out. Dan's quickly stepping out around that one. He's going to come up with a kill for himself. Minerva going to get caught out. Rocket taking low. The Zhonya's is not quite off cooldown yet. Will he get picked up? Tino's dropped. They're going to keep on rushing. The Monsoon lands. Danagorns is going to get focused. He gets burnt on down. Shook goes deep. Punts and left straight back in towards Alliance. They give themselves a second. Tabs gets himself the double. They force them back onto the fountain right now. They put the damage down on the Nexus turret. Alliance will finally take their